Noisy geese. So in the order of construction, there's the coop, the run, the deck, the chicken yard, goose coop, and then the meat bird tractor. This is the chicken tractor. The neighbor built this, used it for 1 year, and then said he was never doing meat birds again. So it's over here right now. We wanted it predator proof, so it's on a row of bricks. And this is chicken wire, which is not as good as hardware cloth. But to make it predator proof, this little guy here makes it electric, because this high voltage wire goes under the path right there to our electric fence. So now we can electrify this whole thing. So, and you guys discovered that at one point too, right? And this is the goose coop, or the duck coop. There's a clean out on this side. This door opens up and hangs from that when it's open, so we can clean it out. And you can see it opens into the yard. The fence is modified to butt right up against that we can open and close it while it's attached. And that works well. So for instance, right now the way it's being used is the geese are in the yard at night, able to roam around, and the ducks are in this coop. And now during the daytime, the geese are out and the ducks are out. In winter, this gives us options. We can open both sides. So if we want, the geese can go in and out if they're the only ones in here. Pretty nice to have the options to another little structure attached to the yard for our waterfowl. So there's the garden over there, and we got our coop. Here is the steps. We store some stuff under here. Thinking about maybe fencing it in as another little area to put birds. But for now, you'll note there's no railing on it. And that's because in winter, the snow will actually get up to the level of the deck. And it's nice to just push it off. If there's a railing, that's something we'd have to shovel over and fight with. We'll go around the outside. This is the clean out hatch. And you can see we got the little barrel latches on here. What's cool too with this guy is if we unlatch it, and hopefully no chickens fall out, it will actually stay up like that because magnets. I'm a big fan of magnets. Okay, so there we go. Just another look at that. I did do soffits, aluminum soffits everywhere. Kind of like what you do in a house. Motion lights there as well. The egg doors also have magnets. So that will stay, hi there. So that'll stay up. So we can grab eggs. I did have to make some modifications to these doors at one point. I went with a kind of a bigger area here because the wood would move a little bit with the seasons. And also I had to do some fine tuning with hand tools. So all the doors have been fitted with hand tools. I had to come back and make sure there's enough clearance because the wood was quite a bit through the seasons. We range everywhere from below 0 to 90 degrees and humidity everywhere in between here. So we see everything. Hey dude, what are you doing?
Making break for it.
Hey. Over in this corner then, this is the door. I like these gate latches. They're pretty great. And what I've done here is added a closure on the top. So that's one of those discount bin finds. Went to Lowe's and it was on sale for like 10 bucks, and I was like, I need that. Which is great because the kids have left the door open a number of times before that was installed. And you'll see in here just a real simple utilitarian handhold. And to get out, there's a string with a pulley, a lead sinker, and that attaches to the gate latch. So it makes it easy to get in and out. Over here you can see there's more magnets. So this guy's held up with a magnet, again, captured magnet. And then that shuts. Most of the time it's open because this run is predator proof. This little shelf right now is not really in use, but you'll notice there's a French cleat, and that's because we can hang our egg boxes. I'll show you that on the inside, how our nesting boxes hang on a French cleat so we can move them around. This gives us flexibility when we have multiple ages and when we do different stuff. And again, here's another, I really like French cleats and magnets, so that's how this is held on here. In the covered run, it's used year round. And right now you can see a few different things. Here's an attachment. We'll hang stuff from the rafters for water and things like that. This is just reclaimed trampoline. Makes a nice little perch for them. We have a pheasant in quarantine here because she was getting picked on, so once she heals up, she'll be back with the rest of the birds. Here's a water setup. You can see we got the stage, or the little step up for the short birds so they can use it. Again, hanging everything from the rafters. Also in the rafters, they're good for hanging, we have some panels for in the coop when we divide it into sections. Another cage, and then this is where that other cage will store. Just kind of slides up in between the rafters. That's just an old table. We use this table in the coop sometimes, and you'll see this bucket is screwed there. So the way we do that is that way we put a bucket of water in there and they can't knock it over. So that bucket just captures the actual bucket with water in it. And we got power at the coop, so you'll see we have little cameras every now and then so we can check on stuff. This is neat. Maybe I'll come back at night and show off the lights. Yeah, I think I'll do that. So all of the hardware cloth is buried. So it either goes down a foot or more, or it flares out a 1.5 feet. When I mean flare out, I mean, like, for example, this panel comes down to here, and then there's another sheet that you can kind of see it right here. That goes down 4 inches and then comes out to about here under the ground. So that way if someone tries to dig under it, hits the wire, can't get under the wire, or it just digs into it. These doors are my favorite design. I really like the look of that. They are mortise and tenon with loose tenons. If you're in the woodworking, you will recognize the name Domino from Festool. So I built these with the Festool Domino XL and some 14mm doubles, or dominoes. And it makes a super sturdy door. So on this one, similar setup with the gate latch as the run. And we call this the yard. Chicken yard, duck yard, goose yard, it's the yard. But I didn't have a closer, so this is a little bit more primitive. It's just a weight on a string, and that shuts the door so it doesn't get left open. So in here right now we have the ducks and they share it with the geese. See a bunch of leftover things, like this is just leftover building material, leftover bricks. Keeps the food dry in rainstorm. Bunch of leftover 4x4s from building the yard. And some old tin makes a nice little shelter. They'll probably use that more in winter when the snow gets high. The net installation, so with the HPAI, highly pathogenic avian influenza, we were worried about birds accessing our birds' food dishes. So that's why there's a net. This whole thing is entirely enclosed. That way nobody else can eat your food, only you guys. So we're just siphoning out the pool right now. We're gonna move it. I got a nice quality net here. I think it's 1-inch weave and a bunch of deck cable railing hardware. So you can see that is all stainless, and I modified it with a stainless screw eye to put on that single attachment point. And they're all crimped stainless cables, and the net rests on top of that. And that is by far the best way to do it. Better than just simply stretching a net. Just going to admire this bench while I wait for the geese to be quiet.
Oh, Turkey, no. Turkey, you're not smart at all. Mom, this turkey now.
So anyway, over here we got water.
I will.
These brass valves are the best. And this is how we fill stuff without making a mess. Works fantastic.
It's bad for it. Do you kind of? Yeah.
The yard is put together with this EMT conduit and some holders. So that gives the net a real nice attachment. Doesn't stress it. It's way better than staple, so it's not going to cut the net. It's also way more secure because you have the full strength of the net now. These posts are down about 3 feet to get below the frost. I did my best to make some nice connections here that look good and will last. And here's the pheasant territory. They kind of hang out over here because they do better in the sticks. All right, let's go around and check out the inside of the coop next. Sometimes we keep the kids in here too.
Hello.
The covered run is all what you'd expect for construction. Things are notched and screwed. There's nice pine trim over the top of the treated to make it look nice. It's all finished with Sikkens SRD, which is a great exterior wood finish product, like an oil. This is metal. You can see up top, put a motion light. Doesn't get a whole lot of use, but yeah, I'll come back here at night and we'll show all that off. So on the coop, there is power, 20 amp service. It comes in right there with the leg and then goes up into the coop. It got a little fancy and I bored a hole through the leg. So that's why you don't see another thing going in there. Made things a little easier during construction, actually. Looks pretty good too. All right. The last project last year was graveling the path. So we have a nice gravel path coming down here now, which is great because it was a slip and slide in the spring. All right, now to the inside of the coop. Motion light up top. Camera over here. We got a few cameras sticking around. You know, neat little thing with these blink cameras. I screw a washer to the back and I use a heavy duty magnet. So you'll see like these guys all over. I can move the cameras to different spots just by popping them off with the magnet. Makes it super easy to move. The door is tongue and groove. So it's fairly well sealed. I've used some traditional hardware on it. That's the door. That keeps the door from opening all the way and slamming into whatever garbage can or whatever's out here. But the top is just a simple doorknob. And then the bottom is this old style latch. It just pops up or shuts like that. Pretty cool. Pretty simple, hard to break, hard for anything to go wrong. That's why I like it. Now the door opens outward. So I have notched it on the bottom to make some clearance in winter because sometimes some snow will get jammed up against here. This helps ensure that there's no problems closing it. So here's the inside of the latch again. Very simple. And then here's the inside of the top latch. So you can see how this one's a little harder to actuate, but just goes up like that. Or if we want, we can lock this one so it cannot open. So yeah, let's go inside, check it out. There's a kickboard right here. Keeps the litter from getting in and jamming up the doorway. It's held on with, again, magnets. Let's go in here. And we can open for a little more light. Let me get this. So there we go. Let's go wide. There we go. Check out the door. I've tried to weather seal things. I think it kind of helps. Ultimately, it doesn't matter too much. On the inside, electric. So we got switches all over. This switch is for the lights in here. This controls the other outlet on the ceiling. So there's 2 outlets up top right here. You can see one's plugged in, one is not. That allows us options when it comes to heat lamps and other lights that we want. And then these are the motion lights. So one off the one on the front where we just walked in, and one off the back. Fire extinguisher as well, because what good is a smoke alarm if you up top if you don't have a fire extinguisher? And that smoke alarm is interlinked to the rest of our Nest Protects. So that would be the treehouse, the shop, the house. They all are interlinked. So if one goes off, they all go off. You can see the nice sign. All right. So let's see, clever features in here. Everything can move around. Everything can be modified. That's the trick. So this roost hangs from the ceiling. That can pop off and get out of the way. The little roost right here on the bottom, that can pop off and hang on the wall as well. These nesting boxes, they're hung on a French cleat, and I can show you that right there. Just like outside. One is a triple, one is a double. The double can go outside when we need it. There's a bunch of attachment points on the ceiling for hanging things. There's a high roost up here. The pheasants like that one because the chickens couldn't sit on it, so they had their own space. Hey, buddy. And right now with the electricity, we have these heat lamp setups in here with these cattle tanks. Cool feature here on these guys. I've made these variable output knobs. So this is just a rheostat or a dimmer switch in a box. And that allows the switches here to run at different outputs. So we can turn it on. Is this one plugged in? Let's see. Looks like it's, okay, we're going over this way. Okay, there we go. So this one, you can see we're at about 90 watts. We can crank it up, crank it down. Real handy. And definitely helps the electric bill, that's for sure, when these lights are on all the time. These assemblies are real simple. There's just an aluminum plate that's been drilled and tapped to take a screw, and then some fence wire or whatever I have, and that secures this on top. So this is a very rigid structure. It can't slide off either way, and it's a variable output. Same thing over here. Same idea, just some different material. Just some metal that I welded together. And that ends up being really, so far it's been very safe and secure. It's worked really well. So I really like that design. We got 3 of them for different times of the year. The 2 are down here. On the windows, you can see these little clampy doos. They work really simple. You just unscrew it, flip it down, do both sides, and then this pops off. And this is just extra protection, just to make sure no predators can get through here, because we'll open the windows, and the window screens are not predator proof, but this makes it predator proof. So super cool. So here on the inside, more little clampy doos. Quick look at this guy. So it's just a star knob or whatever you want to call it. This is just a piece of rubber hose, and then there's a threaded rod. So the little rubber hose gives it a little bit of spring, so it keeps it kind of retained, and then you just clamp it down. And this right here, so this is the opening outside, and these 2 clamps will secure a board. At one point we had the geese in here, and we didn't want them in the coop, so we could restrict the opening so only a certain size bird could get through. But now that the geese are outside, probably not going to need that board anymore, but just kind of a quick fix at the time. This is the vent, again, predator proof. A little stick to hold it up. This one can shut all the way. And if we want, we can go, see if I can get it. There we go, look at that. More magnets all the way open so nobody sits up there. All right, I think that about does it for a tour in here. Just a quick look, outlet, 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 more outlets, and then outlet up top. And if you're wondering, above the door there is a Wi-Fi extender and a temperature probe, so we can monitor the temperature and humidity in here. Also gives us internet at the coop and in our garden. So yeah, that's the inside of the coop. So there you go. That's a tour of Sarah's chicken coop. Just a quick backstory on some stuff. The walls are insulated to R15. Same with the ceiling. Everything is pine. Was gonna go with some kind of sheet good, but sheet goods, and this was 2 years ago, were too expensive, and actually solid wood was a lot cheaper. And since I have some woodworking tools in my shop and I like to woodwork, I figured, hey, why not? We'll just do it all out of solid wood. So that's how it looks so good, and it's all solid wood. Otherwise, it was T111 and plywood, but believe it or not, that was more costly. The floor is treated, so there's 3/4 inch treated material underneath. Then there is, I believe it's R20 of foam insulation, then another 3/4 inch of treated, and then on top of that treated is a 1/2 inch of paint grade plywood. So the floor is actually plywood, insulation, plywood, and then more plywood. So it's kind of a extra thick floor, very well insulated. And then it's all sealed with polyurethane. The interior is all shiplap and is oriented in a way that if you hose down the interior, no water would get into the walls, it would all wash into the coop. And everything is very, very weather sealed. I used a zip system OSB. So that's that green OSB sheathing you see on houses. And what you do with that is you seal the seams with this kind of rubbery elastic sealant and all of the nail heads. So that makes a vapor barrier on the entire thing. So the whole thing, including the ceiling, is all sealed with that weatherproofing. And additionally, if you're wondering why the coop has asphalt shingles and the run is metal, well, the metal was cheaper. And on the coop, I didn't want the snow sliding off and building up on the outsides. That would be a problem in winter because then we couldn't get to the egg boxes if we had giant snowbanks. So in this case, it's better to have shingles because the snow sticks to the roof, doesn't slide off and make a mess. But when it comes to the run, that's fine if it slides off. There's nothing back there. So yeah, that's the chicken complex. Thanks, guys. All right, so this is the coop at night. On the front, there's a double motion light. Go up inside and I'll show you the lights. So we open the half door here. So inside, again, one of these switches does the main lights. All right, good night, girls. Okay. And then we'll walk around. There's another motion sensor right here. So you can kind of see it's blinking red. That's a motion light. And then attached to that is a accent light right here. There's a double spotlight up top. And then inside the run, there's one more light on this circuit in the corner. So there's another double motion light over here. And that, more or less, the motion sensor covers the back part of the run. So everything is pretty well lit. So even in the dark corner over here, it's pretty well lit. So there you go. That's the coop at night. And that's it for the video. Thanks, guys.